minor issues. Nobody can see our beautiful faces on here. Let me get that fixed. Bear with me, bear with me. We're gonna fix this together. I don't know if it's really together, but there it is. Ha! We did it! Our beautiful faces. We gotta just resize this a little bit so it isn't scaring the people. Alright, there we go. We are live. We are good to go, fellas. Y'all ready to talk some Swish tonight?
Yep.
Always. It's Tuesday.
It is all day Tuesday. Yeah, it's going to be fun, but let's go ahead and kickstart this. Welcome everyone that's watching. We got a couple people on. We're glad that you decided to come along and watch us. Go ahead and talk some magic among others. This is another edition of Talkin' Swish. Larry Fields here. But as you guys can see, I'm not alone. Along with me tonight are my two partners in crime. First, we have the caveman himself, Steven Dykeman. Steven, how are we doing tonight?
Good.
Sorry, you broke up a little bit. Did you say you're doing bad?
Nope. I said I'm doing good.
Okay.
Doing good.
Alright, I thought I heard you said bad.
Nope.
That might have been me wanting you to be doing bad. But
Okay.
that's besides the point. It is excellent to hear you're doing well, Steven. Alongside Steven, we also have the Voodoo Master himself, Dewey Voo. How are we doing?
Good. Made it successfully to Grand Rapids, so.
Nice. I know you're being selfish and moving all the way across the pond.
All the way across the pond.
The Grand River.
Pond of Michigan.
The Great
The
Pond. You know, if you actually moved to Milwaukee, it would actually probably fit a little bit better.
You know, that almost was a thing, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I was, I think Epic Healthcare Systems. I think that's where they're based out of. There was a point where I was considering a job there.
Oh, nice. So, I think everyone could say that we're glad you didn't move to Wisconsin. You and John Bond could have linked up, though.
Well, yeah. Apparently, there's a pretty big squad of a pretty good Magic players out there. So maybe I would have been jamming games with them.
If they're good, I don't know if you would have made the cut, man. I don't know.
Jeez.
Oh no, I know I'm trash. That's the special part about me.
That's the special part. That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any delusions of grandeur.
Yeah, you are the only person that signed up for the team tournament and the modern tournament at the same time.
I haven't signed up for the modern
tournament.
I
know. It's like, I expect us to suck.
But if there is any proof in history, I suck at team tournaments.
Funny enough, I've gone to a few opens where I have been my confidence level for the open format was so low that I signed up for the classic and open at the same time.
That's ridiculous. Wow.
Like, I was like, I have no faith.
I've never actually done that, but that's funny. I have felt like doing that before though. Like,
oh yeah, I'm like, I don't have any faith right now that I'm gonna day 2. We're just gonna get ready now. It's one less thing I gotta think about.
I've never done that either. The only time I've actually gotten close to doing it was the one time where I was 1 point shy of queuing and I wasn't able to do another turn. I was like, I could just pay this money and enter the tournament and not care how I do.
Hey, it's a fair thing to do, honestly. But before we go on to our main topics, we're going to do some nice little advertisement, little blog, talk about some of the stuff we got going on the streams or whatnot. Right now, we've been having the last couple weeks, I know people that do follow our stream and follow our schedule, we've had a bit of technical difficulties on Monday nights for our modern tournaments. I have been talking. We're going to work on getting some better equipment for that on the technology aspect of it. Last night we were having some issues with the lack of computer products to be able to provide the commentary and all that. So I'm going to be working to get that taken care of so we can avoid future interruptions in our broadcasting in the future. As always, if you want to help out with these improvements that are watching, just subscribe to our Twitch channel. All that really helps us out so we can try to get up our game a little bit. Yep. And I know this week we actually had somebody, I forgot that we even had the function that you can actually donate on our page. I forgot that that's even on the Twitch area, but we do appreciate.
Yeah, Mangstein, it was really funny. They got booted for saying something in chat, and then they like started donating to like bribe me to try and put them back in. They were just being funny. It was hilarious. But obviously, I'm not the best with technology all the time, so I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure how to unblock them. But they got back in like 10 minutes or whatever. But it was so funny. I think they were like spamming sevens or something. They said, and that got them banned. I don't even know like why.
Yeah, I think I have it disabled where if you spam multiple of the same message, because that's usually like what bots and stuff do. So that might have been what like triggered it. Well, we appreciate the support regardless. We don't.
Oh man, yeah.
We will never ask for donations. Donations is something that we appreciate, but we'll never like actively sit here and be like, "Hey, donate to us. We need this." No, but we might talk about subscribing a few times though. We do. That will be where we advertise. But donations, if you want to do it, we appreciate it. Might have to do something for anybody that donates. Like if that starts becoming more of a thing. Definitely look out for those that are helping us out. But sorry,
it's
go
always
ahead.
been good to do things like if they do donations, like if they donate enough, they get to pick the deck you're going to play Steve in, or for our podcast, obviously, if they donate enough, we can create like a format, or if you donate so much, you get some kind of cool thing with it.
Oh yeah, I'm actually going to be coming up with a donation tier list. It's kind of pretty much like if you're pledging at the PBS or NPR stations, right? You get something for your donation. It's kind of similar to what Patreon is, but it isn't going to be like an actual Patreon thing. It's going to be a little bit different. This is going to be just, specifically a Twitch-only thing, where Patreon's going to cover different aspects. We'll be able to talk more about Patreon in the coming weeks when we get that all figured out as well.
That's nice.
We're also returning Monday. I believe I got to confirm that we're returning Monday to get the live Modern action going again. So everybody tune in. And since they plug us very well, I want to plug them and show them support as well, and that's Galactic Toys in Grand Rapids. Go over to galactictcg.com. Go ahead and get some Magic singles if you need it for some any tournaments coming up. Also, let's talk about Steven streaming Monday through Friday, I believe starting at 11 a.m., correct, Steven?
11 a.m. at the moment. Pretty soon here we might do it a little earlier, but right now 11 to 4.
Yep, 11 to 4 Eastern Standard Time. He does a lot of sick Magic Arena action on there. He does some drafts, did some Constructed with a buddy today, helping his friend get ready for the set championship that they're going to be doing. And tomorrow he's going to be doing some Magic Online where he's going to be jamming quote-unquote sick mono-red legendary aggro deck in Modern.
Yes, quote-unquote, if you all want to see what mono-red Mox Amber aggro looks like in Modern, well, just come on over to the stream tomorrow. We've got a treat for you. This is a sneak peek into what might take down GP in quotes Vegas. So if you want to see the hot new tech, come on down tomorrow and check it out. We're gonna be doing Modern for the first time, my first run of Moto on stream, so I'm sure that's gonna be wonderful. But either way, it's gonna be sweet. Yeah, like you were saying, Larry, today we had Brennan DeCandio on today. You couldn't hear him or anything, but I was playing one-on-one with him. And for those that have followed kind of my success or up-and-coming success on the SCG Tour, my first Open Top 8, I lost in the finals to Brennan DeCandio. And then my most recent Open Top 8, I lost in the semifinals to Brennan DeCandio. I'm 0-2 against him in Opens lifetime, but after today, now I am 3-4 against him lifetime. So we're bringing that record up. We're almost back to 500. So we were a little over 500 today. I just can't beat him when it counts.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're actually gonna count these wins today. Get the hell out of here. But no, it was sweet. I know you've had some good followers watching it today. And we definitely go ahead and give us a follow. Steven does this daily. He has some sweet action going on. And for those that ain't watching this on Twitch right now, you can follow all this action on twitch.tv/The Swish Gaming. And also, one final plug, swishgaming.com. That's the website, right? Swishgaming.com, right, Dewey?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's our website.
Well, all our handles have to be different because of like circumstances, so I just like to double check.
Yeah.
But
It's
yeah.
not uncommon for it to all be different.
Oh no, for sure. I just want to make sure I'm not sending somebody to the swishgaming.com and they're like, "Yo, this is a broken leak. I've been lied to."
Right.
Yeah.
They're dead to me. But no, go over to swishgaming.com. We got articles, videos, podcasts, and a few other things on there. Now, guys, are you ready to talk some Magic? Are we done? We're done advertising. We don't need to advertise anymore. We're here to talk about the Nerd Rage Gaming Series, our preparations for it. We're going to talk about the teams that we're all a part of for it. We're just going to talk about some nice little strategy that how each of us approach the tournament, what we think is the best way to approach like getting ready for this team tournament. And if time allows, we're going to talk a little bit about some Eternal weekend action that's coming up this weekend, whether it's being online and the many events they have. I'm going to talk about the thing you could do with Magic Online right now, which I think is very sweet. And also we're going to talk about Dewey's event where he's doing a Buffalo Chicken Dip tournament this weekend in Columbus. I don't know if that... I think that's the name verbatim.
That sounds right.
Buffalo Chicken Dip, number 6 Legacy tournament, I think.
Yeah,
it's like a series.
Oh, I've never heard of it. That's awesome, though. I'm glad that there's people out here trying to make events like this. We definitely don't want to discourage them from doing that.
Yeah, of course not.
So let's go ahead and kickstart. We got the NRG series. It's going to be Steven, myself, and Noah Heisenberg. We're going to be all teaming up. And Dewey is going to be teaming up with Andrew Heisenberg.
And Jeff Jones.
Jeff Jones, nicknamed Dahmer.
My name G.
Yep, and let's talk about Dewey. I'm going to let you, since you're going to be talking for your whole team here, where me and Steven both are going to be able to respect our own individual parts. Let's talk about your team. You have, for those that aren't aware, the NRG series is doing a special, very unique team constructed / limited format where it's going to be Modern, Legacy, and Limited, where day one is going to be as you get 6 packs, you build your deck. If you do make top 8 will be draft. The whole team gets to assist in the deck building process for the actual limited portion, aka sealed. But when it comes to draft, it will only be that limited seeded player that will be participating in the draft.
Yep.
I think this is going to be a very cool concept. I love it when promoters and TOs rather like to go outside the box a little bit to try to make these cool events. And I hope it does well because I think this is a very cool concept. What's your guys' thoughts on the concept at the first announcing of it?
Oh, I love it. I love the structure. I think limited and constructed on the same team is pretty awesome, and I hope it is very successful, and I hope they continue to do these kind of events moving forward because you don't really see this ever to begin with. You certainly don't see it enough. But I think it'll be a very cool event, and like I said, I hope it's very successful.
Yeah, I love the structure as well. I mean, when the announcement happened, Standard was up in the air. We didn't know if it was going to be a good format, and so I think that was a good call. Pioneer has such low play, and Pauper at the time was also in a pretty bad spot. So I think it was a really good call to go with a limited route with the sealed. It also did something that you rarely get, which is like you have those dedicated limited players and dedicated constructed players, and they've never been able to team up. So being able to actually go to a tournament, team up with your friends that love constructed and limited together, that's just sick.
I agree. Yeah, I just like the whole going outside the box and doing these kind of special events like this. It gives us a great opportunity to see some cool things that, and like you said, it lets players that usually can't team up finally be able to do so without like hampering on the like experience wise of things.
Yes.
Right.
All right, Dewey. So let's talk about your team. Um, it's going to be Legacy, Modern, and Sealed. What position are you in?
I'm in the modern seat. We have Andrew in the legacy seat, and we have Jeff in the sealed seat. This is a team that was supposed to happen, like, what, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
The three of us were supposed to team up and do an event. Things happened, and we had to change some stuff around. So as a result, we weren't able to do the team, and then none of the other team tournaments kind of happened because stuff happened with the world and the pandemic. So we still owe Jeff because he had to actually swap teams for us to make some stuff work. And so we're like, as soon as the team was announced, we're like, let's do it. As far as the seats go, it just makes sense. We knew from the get go that we were going to put Andrew in the legacy seat.
Mm-hmm.
He's been playing a lot of Painter and doing very, very well with it. So we knew we wanted to slot him there. And then Jeff prefers Sealed by far. He'll play Modern. He'll play any format, really.
Right.
But he likes Sealed quite a bit, so we knew we wanted to stick him there. And then I didn't care what I played, so it very much just said, hey, you're playing Modern.
And I believe Modern's the middle seat, from my understanding.
I think so. Mm-hmm. Which will be, that's just how it played out, but I think it'll be pretty beneficial because I still obviously have knowledge of Legacy. I think more than Jeff to an extent because I don't think he plays it very much. And when he did, I don't think he has been playing it recently. I've been playing testing it here and there on top of Modern, so I'll be able to help out Andrew on occasion with decisions and thoughts and play patterns.
Mm.
And then same thing with Jeff and his Crimson Vow sealed. So.
Yep, that's actually why I like where our positions are on our side. I'll be wanting to get into a little bit of your guys' strategy and thoughts behind things. But for our team, we have Mr. Heisenberg. He's going to be playing Limited. Steven's going to be playing Modern, and I will be playing Legacy. This all worked out pretty well overall because I think Steven being in the middle is probably the best bet. He's definitely the most knowledgeable out of all three of us in Limited because he's been jamming unlimited games.
Tons of Limited, yeah.
Between the streams, he drafts to all hours of the night with Matt Ayers, another buddy of ours.
He and I have been staying up way too late. I've been staying up well past my bedtime the last few nights. The Limited format's really fun, so it's I love Limited. I've really gained a much higher appreciation of Limited during the pandemic than I had before the pandemic. But yeah, no, this format's, for the most part, a lot of fun. There are some really stupid rares, but at least there are pretty good catch-all removal spells in most of the colors for the stupid rares, especially Black. Black has some really nice removals, so if you're in a Black deck, you can beat pretty much any of the rares, other than, like, the Green Mythic. But the Green Mythic you can beat with a couple. You have to open, like, a rare sweeper on your own, and there are a couple sweepers in this format, by invitation only, and then the Black one with Cleave. But yeah, it's a fun format.
Yeah, no, and that's gonna be awesome having you in the middle for when Noah does need, Noah's been playing some Limited on Arena as well. Like I said, we'll be getting into that preparation talk soon. But having you in the middle to be, and it also helps that you're a way more experienced, like overall Death and Taxes pilot, because that's an archetype that you're a big fan of, and. Spoiler, going to be playing Legacy. I'm already locked on my deck, so if you are listening to this right now, I'm playing Death and Taxes. We don't even need to fool anybody. I'm locked. I've done 2 leagues so far. Like I said, we'll get into some more in-depth stuff on how those leagues have gone. But yeah, I'm playing that. Steven's playing Modern. Heisenberg's playing Limited. I think it's the best spot for all three of us. Steven's been doing really well in Modern recently as well. And then the value of having him in the middle is just going to be very huge as well.
Yep.
Now, jumping back over to Dewey, let's talk a little bit about the prep. You guys have figured out on all three, on your formats. What have you been doing currently getting prepared for your Modern seat? Do you have a deck? Maybe not a deck locked, but do you have some front runners currently?
I knew I wanted to do a lot of testing. I think I've done like 10 or 12 leagues.
Jesus Christ.
Maybe more. It might be more. Plus the challenge.
Forgot you did the challenge.
And I did a challenge, and I did the showcase qualifier as well. And then because I'm like whenever I'm in the Magic gaming mood, or rather I have like the day to do it, like I pretty much dedicate that whole day to it. So like in both circumstances, I think I played for like 14 or 16 hours. But as far as the testing go, I knew that I wanted to test Amulet Titan, Blue White Control, the Jeskai variants, Murktide, Rhinos. I knew some decks that are good, but it's just not my play style, so I knew it wasn't going to be a good fit. But I did also do a test with Rhinos I did a test with Rhinos and with Living End. I think they're good decks. Like, no joke. I do think they're good decks. I have, like, the terrible luck of always just drawing the cards that you're not supposed to when you're playing those kind of combo decks. So, like, even if the deck's good, I just end up losing because I draw all my Living Ends. There was one match that I played where I drew 2 Living Ends both games, and then I could only cascade once, and I was just like, well, I had to do it as a soft wipe in order to not die, and then I couldn't go off anymore, so I'm stuck casting mediocre 4/4s and 5/5s. So
at least
I felt last night when I was playing Hammer and casting O2s for 0 mana.
Well, at least with Rhinos, it doesn't hurt you as much to draw the actual Rhinos card itself.
Not even close. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I did well with the Rhinos deck, but I just don't think that's my playstyle is the problem.
Yeah, it's very tempo-y.
Yeah.
Tempo-y. It's also like it's a fairly linear deck. It's not too hard, which is obviously there are decisions to make, and sideboarding can be difficult and all that, but it does what it does. It's not very complicated. You could hand that deck to a lot of people, and they'd probably do okay because it just does what it does, and it does it very well.
And that's what happened. I had a very okay lead. I went 3-2.
Yeah.
There was a play pattern that I could have done and learned from, because it was my first time picking up the deck that I probably would have gone 4-1. The other problem I have with decks, and you'll probably notice it with the decks like I do pick, is like I love like decks where I kind of have to solve a puzzle and how I get there and how I win. Obviously, why I'm like super drawn to like Urza piles. I also enjoy Amulet decks because of it, and I think that's just all carry over from the fact that I love like pod style decks and figuring out how I get there. So that's the other issue with the Rhinos deck, is it just doesn't scratch that itch very well. I have played, I think I've done 6 leagues with Amulet Titan, possibly 7, and then I ran the showcase qualifier and the challenge with it. Very positive overall record, so that's nice. I think there was 5-0, 2 4-1s, and then like a bunch of 3-2s after that, and then another recent 4-1. The challenge, I went like 5-3. Qualifier went real bad. 0-3 drop. Got rolled over by Double Burn Deck and Hammer Time. Like,
sure.
And it's like the ones where you can't do anything about it. You know, they're doing the Hammer had a turn 2 kill, and then they had a turn 3 kill through removal. So
man, I wonder what that's like. I really do.
Yeah. you see those decks, and then you play them, and you're like, this deck just
man,
doesn't
my first game I played with the deck, I had to mulligan to 4, and I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be my night. Here we go.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I never played an 8 on turn 1, not one time. There was one time where I had an 8 in my opener on the draw in the mirror, and I chose to not cast it on turn 1 because my opponent let on Esper Sentinel. It goes out to you, Zach, because it was Zach who my opponent was. But, yeah, so, you know, it's sweet when the deck does the thing, for sure. And I'm sure, obviously, I had pretty limited reps. Like, if I played the deck more, yeah, I'm sure I would do the thing, too. But, I don't know, like you said, Dewey, that the Hammer Time wasn't really my style of deck.
Doesn't seem like your
thing.
thing.
What you're saying. No. I don't typically like... I only like being the aggressor when it's, like, absurdly good, and when it's not so, like... When it's not so all in like Hammer Time is still pretty all in. Like you need to assemble like piece A, B, and C, and if your piece A, B, or C get interrupted, your deck just it doesn't completely fold because you play Luris and Urza's Saga, but it's still like in a really rough spot. I actually think I was even fairly fortunate, even 2-2 last night with that deck because I played against the 4-color soup pile in round 3, and I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be a very bad matchup for Hammer. I just drew insanely well. Game 1, I drew triple Pure Steel, triple Hammer, and so he kept answering my Pure Steels, and I'm like, oh, play another one, flash in Hammer, draw a card. Oh, you killed it? Oh, whatever, I don't care. I drew a card, and then later I lurised it back. It's just, but yeah. Anyway, I definitely get what you're saying, Dewey, about the not really being your style, but still definitely being a good deck.
Yeah, it's also why like I tested a league with Blue White. You were there, and I'm pretty confident that it's a really good choice. I also think if I have more time to test it next week, it may be a top contender. I did pick up all the stuff I need to play it, and then I also bought the rest of the stuff I need to play the Elementals pile. In both circumstances, it's just a factor of whether or not I can get enough reps in with it being the holidays. If I can't, I'm probably going to lean onto Amulet because it's just been doing really well. I mean, I think I had a top 8, a top 4 in back-to-back challenges, and I think they did well in the showcase as well.
Yeah, makes sense.
The only thing that I think I'm worried about right now is what version to play.
Yeah.
Because there's the version that's all in, playing like triple Azusa, and that's the one that I think Punt Then Wine has been doing very well with, and I like his list a bit, or their list, rather. But the issue I have is I have a love-hate relationship with Azusa. Because sometimes, I don't know, you get to play lands and you don't really do anything else. Like, Dryad always feels great. I always kind of want to play a Gretchen. I've won numerous matches just having it on turn 3 and then just drawing my entire deck. One of my opponents actually saw the combos, knew that I was going to be fetching up a second Amulet, thought sees the wrong card, and then they're like, what's happening? What's going on? I don't get it. And I'm like, I'm drawing my entire deck. When I find the second and the third Amulet, I'm going to start generating mana. When I find the fourth Amulet, I'm going to generate even more mana. I'm going to kill you this turn. You're going to die.
And the draw is also, I forget, is the draw May on that card?
But the draw is not a May.
Okay.
The draw is not a May. So you actually, you do have to make sure you sequence things properly because you have to kill them in the amount of draws left in your deck.
Yep.
But luckily, you will find that second. So like, even if you don't find the third Amulet, if you get a Grazer, that will generate you 3 extra mana. If you find a Dryad, that'll generate you 1 extra mana. So hitting any combinations of those or these Azusa will still get you the mana you need to cast your time to go off.
Makes sense,
but, but yeah, you just have to sequence it properly. Clicking it online is really annoying.
That sounds very annoying.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, it is. If you're not versed in clicking through it, I do not recommend adding a Gretchen to your deck. But then the thing that I'm actually concerned about is whether or not I should play a Karn. Karn seems like a pretty decent alternate win con right now. Keep me in the game. There's been a couple different times where I've been blood mood out of the game, and if I didn't draw that Karn and cast it and found the Worm Coil, I would have just been dead or liquid metal my opponents out of the game. So if I was on the classic build, I would just not be there. And then obviously you get to find a couple silver bullets in your sideboard that have been super relevant, like grabbing the Relic or the Tormod's Crypt to just exile a graveyard has been huge. Yep. But there's also been times where I cast it, does nothing, and then I die. Because I spent my turn doing casting the 4 mana Walker, fetched up an ensnaring bridge or something to stop my opponent, but I couldn't cast it that turn, and then I just die. So
it's the nature of the beast, though, right? So sometimes you just die. Here we are.
Yeah, and the question is though, like in its spot, it would have been 2 Explorers and 1 Azusa, because the version that I was mimicking off of went from 3 Azusas down to 2, and then I swapped up the 2 Explorers for the Karns. And I think I dropped 1 Azusa for a Gretchen. and modify the sideboard appropriately to accommodate it. So, but yeah, that's been a lot of my testing. Is just jamming through leagues. I'll usually try to run the same list 2 to 3 leagues, and then I'll grab a different list or another variant of it to play test some more.
Reasonable. I know. Have you talked with your teammates on what they're doing right now, getting in preparation for this event?
I don't really have to. Like, we kind of check in with each other, but we kind of all also know what's going on. Like, we have a chat going, so we can discuss like what's going on in the format or decks that we have seen that the others might be pretty interested in. But I'm not that experienced with Painter. I think I played literally 1 league of it, and that wasn't even me playing it. It was me watching Andrew play through the whole league while I was talking to him about it. So I know that he's up to date on what's the proper version to play. And I know he's been playtesting a bunch of leagues when he can, outside of, life, work, kid, wife, all that.
No, for sure. Yeah, I think that's the best way to approach it. To piggyback off of that, we'll talk a little bit about what we're doing. So far, I've been doing leagues myself. I've done a couple Death and Taxes leagues. See if I got actually my results up on here. I do. So yeah, I've done 2 leagues so far. Session 1, I did a nice little clean 5-0 sweep. Me and Steven worked a little bit, and then at the tail end, I handled the last couple rounds solo. So funny enough, let's talk. So the matchups, we went up against Mono Red Echoes, Lands, Mono White Painter, and 8 Walla. Let's talk about the Mono Red Echoes for just a moment. So this was the same exact player. So game 1, he mowed the 1 in game 3 and conceded to Spirit. For those that don't know what Spirit is, it's a 3/1 for 2 mana that says players can't draw more than 1 card each turn.
The Labyrinth.
So in loose, we got queued back up against them. Oh, also in that first round, let's talk about how I mind break trapped him game 2. And then he echoes, he played it well, he got LED so he could play 2 echoes in a row. So the first one we mind break trapped. The second one he echoed and we drew a mind break trap in the second one.
Wait, you should pause it there. I think you should talk about your turn 1 decision that we thought was going to just screw you over and make you lose the game.
We chose to not deafening silence on turn 1 because we thought a mind break trap was good enough to not lose on turn 1.
And our opponent tried.
Yeah, our opponent tried their darndest to kill us through the mind break trap anyway with the double echoes, and they would have been rewarded had we not drawn our second copy of Mindbreak Trap, which we play 2 of in our sideboard of our 80 card D&T list. But we drew the second.
Well, we don't know if we drew the second one because the original got shuffled back in anyway. So we still
we drew another copy.
Yeah. The percentage still isn't high. It's not me trying to be like, oh, the percentage was great since we had 2 copies. But we got very lucky there. And like I said, it was difficult because, turn 1 Vial is very, very appealing. So there's definitely arguments for both because my Break Trap is really good against them. He got very lucky getting double echoes into his graveyard like he did. That's kind of very difficult to do. But the fact that he did do it made our decision get punished.
Right.
Nature of the beast. Sometimes you get punished. Thankfully, we still won because we got rewarded.
Yeah, we did not get punished.
And then we got punished and then rewarded all in the same sequence. Like he did get to resolve echoes, but unfortunately, the echoes didn't work out well for him.
Yeah, but in this case, I just mean we didn't get punished by our decision by losing. Fortunately, we definitely the game was harder than it probably would have been had we just played a silence on turn 1. But
correct.
Right.
And then we got queued against the same pilot. We stole game 1. Game 1 is very difficult. These are what we call close to impossible matchups. Game 1. We don't have much interaction for what they're doing. What helped is he whiffed. him whiffing opened the door, and we were able to sneak out the win because he whiffed on it.
Yep.
And then game two, he ended up winning. I forget. I think it was just like he comboed a little too quick for us, and we mowed and didn't get the correct interaction. Game three, we just had a million pieces that the deck not really surprisingly, but it has a ton of sideboard hate for these kind of decks. So unfortunately, Mono Red Echoes is not the deck that he really wanted to play up against D&T when I had a sideboard that's pretty heavily answering turn one combo. Because I think the main board's good against the fair decks, where the sideboard is more hinged against the degenerate decks.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what D&T is trying to do. And I mean, as a combo player, you're supposed to win game one. So
yeah, we got very lucky win game one in that second matchup. Then got a 2-0 win against Lands. This game one was pretty hilarious. So Lands is doing their thing. He has Merit Lage. What we ended up doing is we have Retrofitter Foundry in play. We get a Thopter, and we also have Mother, so we kept making Mother give the Thopter Pro Black. So now the Thopter is just blocking freely on a Merit Lage. And I was even shocked he attacked at the first one, because then we untap it. We just swing with our couple creatures we also have in there. Because I believe we have a Cauldron and we have a 3-1. Yeah, the one that stops the card draw. So we're getting in there for 8 while he's sitting there. Don't get wrong, he's had a lot of life, because before this happened, we had a Solitude, a Merit Lage, and it was either Solitude or Swords. Either way, we did a Sword style effect, so he's at 1,000,000 life. But he conceded because he did not feel like he could beat the Thopter.
Yeah, and in addition to the Thopter, we had Thalia Port, so they were really taxed, really taxed.
We're gonna make it very difficult for him to try the Punishing Fire plan, especially when he didn't have a Grove either.
Yeah, they were stuck on 2 lands as well, so we just had them kind of soft locked out of doing anything.
Game 2, we just surgical Life from the Loam and made their life a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, and then thank God they never drew a Punishing Fire. It was a really weird game. We were under a Tabernacle and multiple ports for a very long time, and then we finally hit lands and resolved a Vial, and I can't remember if the Vial even stayed in play actually.
No, he forced it. Yeah, he forced in the game.
At some point, we just drew enough lands to be able to just cast 3-1s, and 3-1s were somehow just good enough to win the game. So.
Yep. But yeah, we were able to get that one. Then Steven was drafting with Mag and doing some of that. While he was doing that, I had a very insane game one with Mono White Painter. So
I watched the Painter one. I was with you for Painter the 2 nights ago, not last night, really.
Okay,
I watched a little bit of the Painter one last night. You played against it again last night, right? I think.
I played against Mono Red last night, which we'll be getting into that. Yeah.
Dewey's the one who played against. Someone played against Mono White Painter again last night.
Dewey played against Mono White.
I did. I was playing Bant Stoneblade last night.
That's right. Yep.
But yeah, I played against them. Had a sweet game one. It felt like kind of like a game of Limited, where the boards are just so swarmed. He played double Esper Sentinel, but I played Spirit, so the card draw was never going to be relevant. So I just did my thing. I eventually was able to, I believe I got a GT at the very end is what he conceded to, because once I got GT online, he was just going to start chopping down all the stuff. In game 2, eventually we hellbent him very quickly to just be able to run away with the game. The Mono White Painter matchup felt much easier than the Mono Red. I will say that. I don't really know what to draw for the Mono White or Mono Red over Mono Red. There's multiple.
Mono White must be Esper Sentinel. That's one of the big draws, I'd imagine, is just getting more card advantage.
Maybe Land Tutor's that good. I don't know.
I could believe that too.
It does. You can grab Urza Saga with it now, so that's pretty dope.
You're probably a more consistent kill, a quicker, consistent kill with Mono White. I don't know for sure though.
Yep. And then the 5th matchup that I played against was 8 Walla. I 2-0'd them. Keep in mind, I want to also mention we went 2-1, 2-1 against Mono Red Echoes, and then 2-0'd everyone else. Just put that out there. 8 Walla was interesting. Game 1, he got a turn 1 or 2 Hogak into play, and I won that game with ease. because he had a couple of the 2/2 flying hasty guys with Madness.
Mhm.
But I just swords the Hogak, so I dealt with the 4 damage. I was like, I can weather the storm, and eventually I was able to get my stuff going, and I closed that dream down really quick. And game 2, same thing. I prevented him from getting the 3 mana guy that when it attacks, you discard your hand and draw 3. I prevented that from being a thing. I prioritized removing that or Hogax from the board. And once I do that, I wasn't really worried about the Green Walla. I don't know the exact name of the card. They all do the same. The Green Walla is the interesting one, because that one gives it +2/+2, where the red one only pumps up its combat. So something to keep in mind when you're doing these kind of things, like with blocks and things of that nature. Because Thalia is the huge one, right? It's like knowing which one you can block effectively with Thalia and which one you can't. Because the red one's a joke when you have Thalia on the board. And Thalia was huge because them having to pay for their Lion's Eye diamonds and stuff took them off of mana, which can be the big difference. Yeah, I remember game 2, he actually couldn't Hogak me because I kept preventing him from having the amount of cards in the graveyard. Like, I refused to block with some of his bad creatures, and I was eating damage because he needed me to kill one of his creatures just to increase the count, because I think he needed me to get rid of a red creature so he could go ahead and do the whole convoke and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, I was able to do that. Got them to very first successful league. Second league was not as successful as the first one, but I'm going to go through, and I took some notes as well. I think taking notes in your leagues is very beneficial for when you're trying to increase what you're doing. Kicked it off with a good old Is It Delver versus Death and Taxes Mirror. Historically, and it's still true to this day, that Delver is definitely favored in this matchup. And it showed here. I did get the win 2-1. The 2 wins are pretty. I never really felt too much in jeopardy of losing. The main key, I did find my fun interaction I was finding while playing was Murktide and Flicker Wisp. That's a good time right there. Flicker Wisping a Murktide.
Were you saying is D&T's favored, right?
Correct.
Is D&T favored against them?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's always been favored for D&T. There's been so many different versions of D&T. Usually, when they're building D&T, you're pretty much building the deck to beat Delver. That's Delver's always the deck to beat in Legacy. It feels like that's how it's always been, and it feels like that's how it's always going to be. I think we're accepting that's the Legacy format, is beating Delver. They don't play like Chalices and stuff anymore, which Chalice would be pretty sweet against them.
Definitely.
But no, with Solitude is even such a big addition to that deck. Being able to interact with them so well. I lost game 2 because he had one flyer too many for me to deal with. I couldn't draw into my swords, and Solitude, sometimes that's going to happen. It is an 80-card deck. I can't really be too upset, variants.
You say game two, he got in with Ragavan a couple times too.
Yeah, he never got to cast anything off it. Honestly,
the treasures are huge though.
Oh, the treasures really didn't even do anything. It was just the damage. It was just one turn of it was just one additional attack from the Ragavan ended up costing me. Because if I had one more turn, the game's over, because he wasn't able to cast any 1-drop, so he couldn't have burned me out. I was going to be able to soak everything up in the air with Yorion and Flicker Wisp, where I was probably not going to lose that game at that point, because Unholy Heat's turned off, Lightning Bolt's turned off, all these things that's going to kill me is now turned away. Unfortunately, the couple hits from Ragavan getting the 2 damage was what killed me. I think he only cracked 1 treasure throughout that whole game, and he cracked the treasure just to leave a man up and didn't even use it. So at the end of the day, the treasure, it was that damage. That damage cost me that game. But then game 3, I pretty much just did my D&T stuff. I taxed him, ported him, kept Murktide in check, was able to close the game out quite quickly that way. Then I played against Bance Show and Tell. One game won with I won't say with ease. Ease is a stretch. I'm very confused on what was in his hand. So we went. He plays Show and Tell. All I have is Recruiter in hand, and I'm like, well, put in Recruiter or the Guard. and him, obviously they both come at the same time. He puts in Omniscience, and I'm like, well, here's the interesting thing. If I grab Solitude, right, I could deal with an Emrakul if he gets an Emrakul. Obviously, I need to draw a white source to be able to pull this off. So, if he plays Emrakul, I'm not going to get a turn to be able to do the Solitude anyway. So I'm going to grab the Command. It's like Commando, or I forget the name of the card. It's a 2-mana card that also...
Yeah.
Commando.
Yeah.
Yep.
It also has 1 activate, 1 generic to activate, and you can destroy a target artifact or enchantment when you sack them. It's not a tap ability, so it doesn't require summoning sickness or anything. So what I ended up doing is I was like, all right, I'm just going to grab him. If he doesn't have Emrakul, this is pretty good. He passes turn. And I'm like, okay, he has Force of Will or something. I have no faith that this is going to work. So I go Commando. It resolved. And I was like, all right, blow up Omniscience. And he conceded to that.
Hey.
And I was like, all right, well, we went through a show and tell Omniscience. That's pretty sick. Game 2, I think I boarded pretty well. I boarded well to be able to deal with the combo and everything. But my inexperience against Bance show and tell kicked in. I forgot that they played 1 to 2 copies of Euro.
Sure.
Didn't think about it, and that's, like I said, inexperience kicked in. That's why we play these leagues. I ended up dying. He had a Euro in the graveyard. My Saga popped off, but I didn't bring in my Relic of Progenitus. If I bring in Relic of Progenitus, I just wipe out his graveyard, and then that's no longer a thing. And I'm probably going to win that game. I honestly thought I had Relic. I didn't think about that. I didn't bring it in the whole time. Because right when I saw Euro, I was like, oh, this is about to pop off. I'm fine. If I would have actually taken a second to look at my sideboard and notice that, I would have dealt with the Monastery Mentor that was in play way sooner. I left it alone because I was like, all right, he's not going to have a Euro. I'm not really too worried about this card. And ended up because Euro plus Mentor was just a little too much to overcome.
That makes sense.
In Game 3, I had a good interaction to deal with like Euro, stuff like that. And I had a very medium answer to the combo, and he ended up having the combo where he went show and tell Omniscience Emrakul, like he had plus counter back up. Like I just couldn't beat that.
Nice.
Sense, yeah, I can't. There wasn't much I could have done about that. So we take that. Like I said, hindsight being 2020 now. If I would have had the Relic, I'm not saying I would have won on the spot by any means, but I definitely would have been in a way better position to actually try to win that game.
Makes sense.
And then let's talk about the punt match. I went up against Elves. I lost 1-2. Game 1, I got rolled. It wasn't even close. I did play Spirit on turn 2, hoping it was good enough. He just had Natural Order in hand naturally.
Okay.
So got rolled. Game 2, I solituded his Dryad Arbors aggressively, kept wastelanding his non-basic lands when he had those. He played a basic forest, went, grabbed another Dryad. I solituded it again. I did my port stuff eventually, just ported them out of the game. Game 3, I'm doing the same thing. I'm keeping his creatures in check. I'm going to have Jite. If I untap, I get to go Jite, attack, start wiping out all his creatures. He's not winning this game.
Yeah.
My Saga pops off. I can either take a Pithing Needle and Pithing Needle down one of his creatures, which Pithing Needle makes my Jite plan 1,000% better. 1,000% better. Because it stops it from bouncing things.
Yeah.
He has 1 card in hand. And I'm like... And I'm looking. He had 1,000,000 mana and did nothing. And I'm like... Or I could take Grafdigger's Cage and turn Natural Order into never being a card. And I probably still get to untap and do this. But it's going to be a little harder to do the Jite thing. It's going to take a little bit longer to take this down because of the stupid bounce creature. Which is an annoying creature, by the way. One of the most annoying creatures in Legacy. Mm-hmm. I went with Pithing Needle. He top decks Natural Order. I 100% believe I should always be taking Grafdigger's Cage and just turning that off from being a card. Because I just can't beat that card, right?
Yeah.
Like, if he top decks it, I just die on the spot.
Yeah.
I just can't do anything about it. So, I wanted to make sure I put that note down that I definitely should have done that. I need to probably take a few extra moments for making decisions like that.
Sure.
So then then we went over against Esper Vile. That match wasn't close. I smacked him around.
Nice.
He's all game when playing Fibble Flips against me, and I'm like, that's cool. You got yourself a Fibble Flip. I was like, Caracas, I put it back in your library, I guess. Like, whatever. I had no care about what he was doing. Then game 2, he played a little bit longer of a game, but still, I was able to get his vial gone eventually, where I had a vial and he didn't. I was taxing what he was doing. His mana base is super greedy if you don't have vial. I was keeping him off blue mana. Like, not much he could have done. I don't know who's favored in that matchup. Esper Vile's actually not played much anymore, so it's hard to really say.
Yeah.
But in this matchup, on this day and time, I was the most superior Yori on deck.
Okay.
Now we went over to Mono Red Painter. Technically we did lose 1-2.
Okay.
Game 3, I was ahead on board, head on life. I unfortunately was not ahead on clock. Game 2 took forever. There wasn't nothing I could do to speed up Game 2, except the one issue I was having, which Moto would not yield my triggers to save its life. I don't know why it wasn't yielding them. Unfortunately, so I had to manually click through everything, so I probably did lose some time because of that.
Makes sense,
And I 100% confident. I was so far ahead in that Game 3 that I would have definitely won 100% if this was Paper Magic.
Okay.
League-wise, I did go 2-3, but I essentially chalked this up. It was still a medium 3-2 finish if it was like a paper-style event. Definitely. So we did a 5-0 league. We bounced back with a 3-2 league, quote-unquote, if paper, but Match Online's a little more difficult because that chess clock is brutal sometimes. Especially in Legacy. Legacy, people give it this reputation of being a super fast turn 1, turn 2 combo format, but have played events very minimal turn 1 combo decks compared to playing these grindy matchups. I'm looking forward. My preparation, I plan to do at least 3 more leagues before the tournament itself. I want to do a minimum of 5. I'm going to keep taking notes like this, evaluating if there is a matchup. The thing, out of 2 leagues, I will say that Timeless Dragon is a horrible Magic card to be played in this deck, and it should not be in there. Yeah, so that deck will not be playing Timeless Dragon come NRG Series Day. Jumping over, I know, as I previously mentioned, Noah has been testing some sealed and draft on his own on Arena. So we're doing similar things where everyone's going to be able to handle their own. Steven, probably will be working with Steven, though, because I don't know if his piloting of Moto's going to be up to par to be playing Death Shadow. That's going to be a little tough, because that's a deck he wants to test out along with some elementals and things like that.
Yeah.
Do you have an idea where it's your front runner, or do we want to keep it low-key right now?
Oh, no, it's fine. I'm fine with disclosing that information. So we, like I've told you a few times, I believe that I'm going to play Dress Down Shadow. Funny enough, I was actually considering playing the deck before the Invitational anyway.
Okay.
I was strongly considering that deck because it was the deck that I was struggling to beat the most with Elementals. It's like the only deck that I have not beaten yet in Modern with Elementals. I've beaten like everything else. And I don't know, I feel like the deck is really, really good, and the more that people gravitate towards these Omnath Enter the Battlefield decks, these like 4-color soup piles, and these, even the blue-white deck, one of the winners of the challenges was like a blue-white blink deck. It wasn't even blue-white control. It was like blue-white Wall of Omens and Yorion and all that. And then obviously you have elementals. But I just feel like ETBs are really, really prevalent in Modern right now. So Dress Down is like super good. Dress Down's a really weird card. So a lot of people don't even know how the thing works because it just has a bunch of crazy interactions. which is why I need to test the deck, honestly, is just so I can learn some of the really silly interactions that that card can create that other people might not know about or see coming. But I don't know. I thought it was good before the Invitational, and then Baumeister definitely proved me right by just destroying everybody with it, with like a 7-1 Modern record or whatever. I still did fine with Elementals. I went 5-3, and I went 3-1 on day 2, almost 4-0. Very, very close match with Kellen Pastor. But regardless, basically trying to out mid-range all the mid-range decks is like fine. That's a fine plan, but I'd rather just play a deck that is favored against these decks, and I think Shadow is a deck that's favored against these decks. So that's kind of why I want to play Shadow. Also, Shadow it's going to take less time, and if I'm the middle seat in a team event, it would be nice to be able to give you or Noah some assistance when you need it. Because if I'm playing Elementals, I probably won't be able to provide very much assistance because I'm going to go to time almost every round. That's just how Elementals works. And honestly, if I were to play Elementals, I'd be on a 3rd Mole Drifter for sure, maybe even a 4th Mole Drifter, so the deck would get even more grindy than normal. Because I think that's the best way to combat the soup piles, is just more Mole Drifter nonsense. But ultimately, like I said, I want to play Shadow. I think that's a good call. The last few times we've done team events, I was on the Thoughtseize mid-range deck, and it went fine. So wouldn't mind doing that again.
Yeah, no, I think we have a good plan down. I think we're going to all handle our respective seats very well. I'm looking forward to this team event. Like I said, I got some more leagues I'm going to be doing in the next week or so. I'll probably be doing some in some number this weekend.
Okay.
I know Dewey said that he's going to be doing some more leagues as well. I think there's just going to be a bunch of jamming of Magic coming up.
Yep.
Well, I won't be jamming any Magic until Friday because I'm going to be in Grand Rapids until then.
Fair enough.
Oh.
And my work laptop is a little bit difficult to install MTGO on because I'd have to tell the IT guy, hey, can you install that for me real quick?
Fair
He'd
enough.
be like, what is this? This is work related. I cannot get the job done without this.
I'm pretty confident if I just message them and say, hey, it's okay to install it. Because, like, my owners have already said to me, like, hey, Dewey, if you want to just install a bunch of games that we know you play on your phone, if they're on the phone, you can just install it on the company phone, too. And I'm like, I don't know, it feels weird. So, like, they've already breached the subject. They don't care. They trust me. But
Sure.
it just, like...
Mistake.
I just have that thing where I need to separate it. I have to separate work and play, so like it's not on my work laptop. I just know that I won't do it.
Sure.
Understandable for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got with that being said, you not gonna be playing any this week. We could transition a little bit. We have a little bit of time left.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we could talk about the Eternal Weekend events and festivities that we have over the weekend.
Yeah.
There's quite a good amount. Eternal Weekend itself, for those that aren't aware, you can play Magic Online, and you can go. There's 3 different ones for Legacy this weekend. Next weekend is in the weekend after Thanksgiving. They're going to be doing vintage ones, and each one has their respective big giant art that you can win. It'll be like a super card. I know Sylvan Library is one of them this time for Legacy, and there's a couple other. I don't know the exact ones. They're listed on Magic Online if you're looking for more information. What's also cool, you enter these tournaments with a $25 chip, essentially, that you purchase in the store. You can't use tickets to buy it, but you buy a $25 chip.
Mm-hmm.
What this chip also gets you is full access to every Magic card on Magic Online.
That's so cool.
So, for those that want to actually play Delver and all these kind of decks, which is kind of hard to do, this is a great time to do it. That's why actually Legacy testing is kind of cool right now, is because you can use these cards in anything on Magic Online. Anything you want.
Neat.
So you see a lot of people playing leagues and stuff right now with decks that they normally cannot. So I think it's super.
So wait, it's $25 and you have access to all these cards at the same time, or is it $25 per entry?
No, so what the $25 does is it unlocks a God account.
Okay.
So you have any card that you want to play with. So you unlock the God account.
Is it bad that I'm thinking about doing it when I come back if I think I have enough time just so I can play a bunch of elementals deck because I can't do it on my mandatory account?
So
Hilarious.
I
That's
was
really funny.
I was legitimately thinking about doing it so we can make sure Steven can try any modern deck he wants to without
Yeah.
I think it would be very time saver as well, which I think is super cool.
That makes
Because
a lot of sense.
you don't have to return
Not a bad
anything
idea.
because you could just make a bunch of decks, and because it's all built into this client itself, where they're not actual cards you own, it just says you have them to play with.
Okay.
Sure.
That's such a cool concept.
They've been. It usually lasts till like Tuesday or something like that. Because I've done it the last few times. They did it for like PAX. They've done it for the Indianapolis event. I can't even think of what that con is called now. The very big one, the big gaming
Gen Con?
Gen Con. I've never been, so it doesn't really matter to me. So I can't even think of the name of it. But they've done it for those kind of events. Because they would do, back when they did like Gen Con Online or PAX Online, they would do these God accounts. And I've done it a couple times. And I've never actually played the big event. I paid the $25 just so I could play challenges over the weekend.
It's so interesting because, honestly, so it sounds like it's lasting about 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of would gladly pay $50 a month for a God account because I'm already paying that much for it.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be shocked if we see some things like that in the future from Wizards. Like I think it's a cool system, and also the Eternal Weekend events itself. They're pretty sweet events that they got going on.
Yeah.
You are going to be playing a paper legacy tournament this weekend down in Columbus, Ohio. It's the Buffalo Chicken Dip event, number 5. It's the only paper Eternal Weekend event that they are advertising pretty heavily, if they are. And the prizes are pretty sweet. First place also gets a jumbo giant card. It's a very custom brainstorm of a
custom art of the Buffalo Chicken brainstorm.
Yep, which is super cool. I could actually see that card going for some money. I would not be shocked.
Honestly, even if I win, I'm just gonna frame that.
Sure.
Like, let's say it does go for like a couple $100 or something like that. Yeah, you're not gonna get it again, right? Like, I don't know. I kind of like the idea of just having this and I can just hold on to it. And if it is worth a couple $100 now, it'll be worth a couple $100 later. So I'd rather just keep it. But they also have some, a Stronghold Mox Diamond.
Yep.
For first place as well, and second place is a Tundra.
Yep.
And then from after that, it's a cash or credit payout, I think.
And then they're going to scale up if they get a certain amount of players, which is awesome. I love when promoters do that. I think the event's super cool. I agree, but some promoters unfortunately do not.
I know. The other cool part, and I appreciate this a ton, even though I'm going to be playing my own deck, like my real deck, and I have gone through and purchased the cards I'm missing as well, because I'm adjusting my legacy pile right now.
Sure.
It's a 100% proxy tournament, and I love that. And they do, I think they're doing it right. You have to have decent proxy.
Yep.
So that means you're actually getting a proper printout, acetoning a card, putting it on there. You can't just like Sharpie cards. They don't want that. But if you're gonna proxy it right, if you can do it a little bit better than normal, and I think that's the way to go.
Now, does it really change for marking of cards or anything when you print a piece of paper and just slip it in the card?
I think they want to avoid that, but to an extent they allow it. I think I know that the number one thing they were really against was just the sharpieing on a card. So I think they just wanted to avoid any confusion on how a card comes across and how it's seen. What are you doing? Sorry.
No, you're good.
This is Bear. That's Winston. They hate each other. And so the thickness thing has come up. I don't know how relevant it is. I think as long as a judge can't tell, like if you proxy your whole deck, it's all paper and then all printed on. I don't think it makes a difference though.
Yeah, I think that's what I would end up doing, because I also don't want to get in trouble. I also don't want to have any unfair advantages, right?
Right. So for me, I'm probably I'm looking at a BAM pile still, but I'm adjusting it. Like I was mentioning earlier, I was testing out this BAM Stoneblade pile, and it did well. Okay. So I'll probably see if I can jam another league with it. I need, I think, one tropical island. So at worst case, I would proxy up just the one island, or see about buying it while I'm in GR here. So.
Listen, yeah, that should be super fun. I'm hoping that you guys do well. We have Andrew Woltheis going down. I believe we have Jeremy Pinter going down.
Yeah, we do, and it actually sounds like there's two or three other guys that are now considering going as well. Because even though we've been talking about it in the team chats and the events, like, hey, there's a full proxy tournament, you can go to this. It's pretty reasonable. We've got one or two cards coming. They're like now going, oh wait, there's a proxy tournament that's legacy.
Yeah.
Changes thing. I was originally going to go, but I ended up picking up some overtime for Saturday. I was like, the holidays are coming up. I think it's the only wise thing to do.
It is. That's always really
I'm also taking the weekend off after Thanksgiving, so I definitely... And plus, I found out that I have to purchase a new vehicle. So...
Last in my life.
They wanted me to pay over $4,000 to fix my current vehicle, which I don't think it's close to worth that.
No, at $4,000, I think I'll buy a new car.
Yep, so what I'm going to do is it just got delivered today, actually, over here in Grand Rapids from Naperville, Illinois. They're going to be doing their inspections on it, cleaning it, all that kind of stuff the next couple days. My plan is I have Tuesday off. I plan the next Tuesday schedule to go pick it up.
Nice.
So maybe we'll be taking the new vehicle down to the NRG tournament.
Nice.
Super funny. Tell a nice little funny story about this. So when I originally selected the vehicle, I picked a Kia Soul because I think those cars are cool. I like Kia Souls a lot.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because I work for Carvana and I see cars all the time, and I just delivered a couple Kia Souls and they were both automatics. This one was not. This is not an automatic. This one, my friend, was manual. And I know how to drive manual now, but not good enough to where I'd be comfortable driving as my full-time vehicle. That's way too much work than Larry's trying to live.
Sure.
So, with that being said, I was in a pickle, and she reached out to me to confirm everything, and I was like, yeah, I don't want the Kia Soul because I don't want a manual vehicle. And she was like, oh, no worries. I got you, fam. She did not say got you, fam, by the way. That's how I heard it.
I honestly would have really appreciated it.
Oh, if she said, I got you, fam, I would be like, my dog. But no, she was like, I got you. She was like, what are you looking for? She was like, what are you looking for? And I was like, oh, maybe something that's bigger than a car, like something between like SUV and, something like Kia Soul, like kind of size. And we found a Kia Sorento, which I think is not too bad. But before we even got to the Kia Sorento, right? She sat there, she's like, all right, what are you looking for? Are you looking for good gas mileage? Are you looking for, like, low miles? I was like, there's one thing that's number one on my list right now. It needs Bluetooth on the radio. I need Bluetooth. Keep in mind, this is something I can easily pay like $50 to $100 to get added if I needed to. But that's where my priorities were. Bluetooth.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, got a nice little new Magic Mobile, we'll call it. Gonna look forward to it. Should be fun. Don't know what I'm doing with the current car I have. I haven't even thought that far ahead yet.
Okay.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there. I'm not trading it in to go towards it or anything. So hopefully we'll see where that lines up. I'm just glad we're going to have something to take us to the NRG event.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the... Yeah. We love...
To attack me. I heard everything though. It's funny, I was actually looking at the Kia Soul and the Kia Sorento, but I ended up just fixing up my car.
Yep.
And like, now it's driving fine, but I'm still kicking around the idea of selling my car, getting a new one, just so I can have a new car, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Also, like, the new car market's also kind of awful right now too, because of the chip shortage.
Yeah. I went, yeah, this car only has about 90,000 miles on it or whatever, so it's got a long life ahead for it. It's going to be weird. It'll be my first car I've ever owned with a backup camera. So now I'll be able to see when I hit Steven. Like that's.
I don't even use it. I have a backup camera and I kind of hate it.
Oh, I probably won't use it much. I'm a mirror person. I don't use a backup camera at work. Like I drive a ton of vehicles with backup cameras when I'm working. I don't ever use the damn thing because I don't trust it. And when that thing, it beeps off so much for no reason.
Once you get used to it, I will say it is handy. I think one of my problems though is that I'm used to because we're used to seeing your phone, your computer, all that stuff, and it has super high resolution.
Yeah. And
it's a little pixelated for me, even though I'm sure it's super great quality. It's a little pixelated for me. So when I look at it, I'm like, is that really there?
No, that's fair. That's fair. No, I think it'll be fun. Besides that, I know I'm getting ready. They just announced a new Flesh and Blood set today.
Oh, very cool.
Yep. I believe this is a supplemental set. So how Flesh and Blood does it, they do their major sets, but they in between after a couple of them, they'll do what's called a supplemental set. That's to fill in to get. So imagine if a set came out that would help try to balance formats out. That's what the purpose of supplemental sets are, is to make archetypes better, so all archetypes can be played, essentially. That's their goal, so the game's based around heroes. Just imagine if you're like, modern, if they had like a modern supplemental set that was just designed to try to make every archetype playable. Like, I like that concept a lot. With Flesh and Blood, a lot of Magic players are doing really well when you got Tariq Patel that's taken down multiple events. Like,
yes,
congratulations, Tariq. Like, that's awesome to hear. I'm working to get a Flesh and Blood player on here for an interview. We're gonna have to find one. I'd like to get an insight.
Maybe it should be Patel. He played Magic. He'd be a great guy to have on.
I don't know. Are you close with Tariq?
Not super. I never really talked to him too much, but.
Yeah, I only hung out with him the one time down in Atlanta.
Reach out to him, man. Reach out to Tariq. Tell him
getting him on the show. Another really good one. I wonder if Kowalski would be willing to come on. Kowalski would be a great guy to have.
Reach out to him too.
All right, fine.
Yeah, reach out to these people.
And he usually likes it when we give him shout outs. We give the dude shout outs like every season because he always makes a great deck that one of us three at least ends up playing and something and crushing.
I've crushed with his deck. I think all three of us have crushed with his deck in some form.
Yeah, we played Auras, and he was one of the first people to jump on the Auras train. So.
Oh yeah. That's when I got a shout out back from him when he was like, appreciate the support and stuff. I just wanted to give him credit because his deck was so good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Know many things I won because of him? I won a lot of money from the Inside event because of him.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta love that fake money.
Yeah, I was like, but I got the recognition of making that invitational value.
You're right.
I am the winner now. Yeah, starting at the beginning of January, I'm going to go and probably turn most of my focus over. I think I'm going to limit to my Magic play in the team tournaments. I want to do team tournaments. Like, that's where my Magic's going to be at. We'll reevaluate things. We might stick to the NRG series depending on what the schedule looked like when they figure things out. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I know I am going to be focusing on Flesh and Blood a little bit more this next year. I think the game is super fun. And I like the direction that it's heading right now. I think they're doing an amazing job with it. And the fact that it's the only game that I actually open packs from. So that's fun to me too.
Yeah.
It's like super worthwhile to open their packs too, isn't it?
They got some cards that are dumb priced. And their packs are cheap. So cheap compared to other games. Which is super nice. Like $70 a box? Alright. That's not too bad. It's better than the 120 to 30 that Magic is now.
Yeah.
Right.
And with a new set every month. The nerve that, I'm going to just say this right now, the nerve they have to have a set drop for 2 months in a row, and then they're like, we're going to take those two sets and we're going to change the color of the cards to try to get you to buy them all over again. Get the fuck out of here.
Here's the problem. The fact that they're releasing two back-to-backs 1 month after another, I hate it. But the fact that they're releasing basically like a specialty art set, I don't care. I'm not going to touch it. If we want this stuff to stop, you have to stop spending money on it. But the people that keep throwing money at the game like this, that's why they keep doing it. Businesses respond to money.
Oh, I know.
Stop making them make money. But the problem is, every set they release, it does better than the last.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying, I know I ain't taking part of it. I'm just saying, I'm telling you, monthly sets are going to be a thing. It's going to happen. This set, Innistrad has proven that it's successful.
Yep.
I think we have to wait to see if it's successful, to be honest with you.
That's fair. Maybe it is a little too early.
They could go that route. Isn't there a longer delay between this set and the next set, though?
Yeah,
there might be.
It's short.
We usually get one like every.
I'm just gonna look it up. I'm gonna just take a gander really fast. What is the next set called?
I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
Let's see.
All right, set release 2022. Kamigawa. That's right.
Yeah, I'm just curious of when it is. So we have.
Yep. Okay, February 18th.
Yeah. So that's pretty much generic, right? It's usually like 3 months.
Yeah. Okay, so they're going to be having a Dungeons and Dragons Commander Legends set.
Interesting. Double
Masters 2022. Jumpstart 2022. Okay. Garbage. All of it's garbage. Yeah. All of it.
Yeah, so, with how they did it, they released Midnight Hunt towards the end of September, right? Mm-hmm. And then we got Innistrad just now. So that was obviously a much shorter time frame, being like a month and a half, borderline 2 months, but probably closer to a month and a half. And then we got the 3-month gap. And I don't know. I don't like it, obviously, because I think it's too short of a time frame. I also kind of get it from the business standpoint of wanting to release a product before the holiday season to try to capitalize on that market. I wish as a result we would have been able to settle into this, but at the same time, Standard's kind of re-entered the same place it's been, and nothing's really changed, so maybe it's a good thing we'll be getting more cards.
Yep.
Yeah. We'll definitely have to wait and see. I know.
Yep.
I think it's trash, but to everyone's own. Everyone's own.
Yep.
But no, that's gonna wrap up this week's edition of Talking Swish. Just one more time, catch Steven test different arena decks and formats every day, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, of course. Monday through Friday, not every day. He's a lazy bum on the weekends.
Sometimes we do weekend stuff. When I'm doing online tournaments, I'll usually be streaming those, which happens, usually once a month at least. So,
for sure. And also, like I said, we'll always be here every Tuesday. Our boy Nate is actually he talked to me last night about the new jingle he's making for us. When we get the new jingle, we'll start having that being aired as well. That'll be super fun. Super fun times right there. And also catch our little random streams. We got the Monday Night Modern streams. We're going to work after the beginning of the year. With the holidays coming up, it's going to be a little hectic. We're still going to provide your YouTube uploads and all that kind of stuff. After the beginning of the year, expect some paper, flesh, and blood and stuff like that coming to the channel as well. It'll be super fun. We got a lot of stuff coming up. Definitely want to stay trapped. Best way to do that, subscribe to YouTube, subscribe to Twitch, subscribe to all those channels that we have, and also go to the website. You'll see some sweet stuff on there as well. Steven's going to be making a write-up on his invitational results one day when he stops being, as I said, a lazy bum.
This weekend would be a good time to do it. I guess this is also a good time to plug the if you're interested in limited ratings. I got those. We got those up on the site now, so that's cool.
He copied them from LSV.
I did not. I, in fact, actually on the screen multiple times have said I disagree with LSV on rating X or Y. So
you hear that? He said that he's better than LSV people.
I also did not say that, but I do have different opinions. Well, to be fair, it's funny. LSV rated the common pacifism in white. He gave like a 1.5. And I was like, there's no way that rating is right. And then I hovered over the card just because I wanted to see what he said about it because it just seemed ridiculous. And then he's like, I'm going to start low with this one. So he immediately starts it off with, like, I'm probably wrong with this rating, but... And then, like, explains why he, like, thinks it's kind of medium. And, like, yeah, I mean, the pacifism is, like, whatever. And there are times where... But the thing about this pacifism is that you can pay 5 mana and exile the thing. So, like, even when you need to get the thing off the board, you still can do it. I don't know. 1.5 was way too low for that card. It might have been a 2.0, but either way, it was too low. That card's like a 3.0. It's a very good common. I would, like, first pick that card in some packs. But anyway...
Yeah, I was like, does that even break his rule on his own grading system?
I don't know.
If he were to, yeah. Because I think he has rules for the 1, 2, 3, 4s, and 5s.
Sure.
And he has that for both the limited and the constructed. And if he says a card is possibly playable and everything, like giving those thoughts, and then goes, here's a low rating for it, that's kind of weird to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
He does
Pretty
everything
funny, though,
for a
nonetheless.
reason.
Yeah.
Pretty funny, nonetheless.
But yeah, well, next week we'll touch base on Steven Dykman's rivalry with LSV.
With LSV, yeah, okay.
Yeah. The war is on. You've heard it here, folks.
Oh, jeez.
Don't forget that. I might chop up this whole like end of the video, and I might start tagging them. Be like, look,
hey man, maybe someday LSV will come onto our stream, and I can play one-on-one with LSV.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta challenge LSV, apparently.
So you want to fight LSV, is what you said.
We can do like podcast versus podcast, us 3 versus those 3 in limited.
Oh my gosh.
Well, who's the 3?
Can we just make it a cube draft and then fly out there and have a
Sure, we can. I don't care, man. We can cube. I love cubing, dude. Cubing is great. Cubing is great.
Cubing is a good time. But, like I said, that's been this week's episode. Not to take up any more time. Follow all that stuff. Follow our link tree. It's over there in the little chat log as well. But until next time, this has been Larry along with Steven and Dewey. This has been Talking Swish, and we thank you for watching, and we will catch you guys later.
Catch you next time.
Have a great one.